Hello, welcome to Levant TV Headlines. Thousands of Syrian refugees have poured into Turkey to escape the battle between Kurds and the Islamic State jihadists for the Syrian town of Tal Abyad, as the Turkish authorities reopened the border after days of closure. UN Chief Ban Ki-moon has opened political talks on Yemen by calling for a humanitarian ceasefire of at least 2 weeks to mark the start of the holy month of Ramadan, as well as local ceasefires and withdrawal of armed groups from cities. The plane carrying the representatives of Yemen's political factions to attend the UN-brokered talks in the Swiss city of Geneva has not arrived in its destination yet due to Egypt's refusal to allow them to enter its airspace. Israeli ministers have approved a bill that would allow prisoners on hunger strike to be force-fed if their life is in danger, sparking criticism from health experts and rights groups. Al-Qaeda-linked jihadist Mukhtar Bel-Mukhtar, who allegedly masterminded the siege of an Algerian gas plant in which 38 hostages died, has been killed in a US airstrike in Libya. And now let's have a look at the top headlines in today's newspapers in the Middle East. Starting from Beirut, the Daily Star leads reporting that Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri has said Lebanon can no longer stand the disruption of Parliament and Cabinet, and urgent matters should be addressed by both bodies as soon as possible. The paper also reports that a doctor who was arrested for allegedly misdiagnosing an infant girl, leading to the amputation of her 4 limbs, has been released after paying a bail of $66,000. From the UAE, the Khalij Times leads reporting that a delegation of Yemeni rebels have left the capital Sana'a for Geneva to attend repeatedly delayed peace talks. The paper also reports that a South African judge has banned Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir from leaving the country after the International Criminal Court called for him to be arrested at a summit in Johannesburg. The Egypt Independent leads reporting that the Aguza misdemeanor court has sentenced 5 Brotherhood supporters in absentia to 5 years in prison, with a fine of 100,000 Egyptian pounds over charges of inciting riots, thuggery and blocking a main road in Giza several months ago. The paper also reports that Ibrahim Sarhan, chairman of the board of directors for iFinance, the company responsible for the Fuel Smart Cards system, said 61,000 cards have been issued so far to tuk-tuk drivers, and the rest will be issued in the coming days. And now let's have a look at the top Middle East headlines from UK papers. The Guardian leads reporting that community leaders have been left shocked by the death of a teenager believed to have become Britain's youngest suicide bomber after being groomed by the Islamic State. Qari Asim, an imam at the Mecca Masjid Mosque, who was awarded an MBE for his efforts to build bridges between communities in Leeds since the 7th of July terror attacks, said ISIS leaders were acting, quote, like pedophiles by grooming young men. The Telegraph is reporting that there are mounting fears that a deepening power struggle in Tehran over the succession for the powerful position of the supreme leader could derail attempts to negotiate a deal over Iran's nuclear program. Western diplomats involved in the negotiations believe the increasingly frail health of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the regime's current supreme leader, has prompted a fierce power struggle between rival contenders as they jostle for the succession. The Independent leads its Middle East news section reporting that the Israeli government has approved a bill which will allow the force-feeding of prisoners who are on hunger strike if their lives are in danger. The controversial move has not been supported by the Israeli Medical Association, and Physicians for Human Rights and NGOs described the bill as a disgraceful move, saying it will legalize torture and gross violations of medical ethics and international conventions. And now let's have a look at top Middle East headlines in international papers. From Berlin, the Deutsche Welle reports that Israel has claimed in a report that the Israeli Defense Force operation in Gaza last summer was a moral, defensive war and imperative necessity. The report comes 2 weeks before the publication of the findings of an investigation by the United Nations Human Rights Council into possible war crimes by Israel and Hamas. And finally, the international New York Times reports that the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has warned that Yemen was a ticking bomb as efforts to start talks aimed at achieving at least a ceasefire in the country were further delayed. Mr. Ban had stopped off in Geneva to attend the start of what the United Nations has called preliminary inclusive consultations, originally intended to start on Sunday between the Houthi rebel group and the Saudi-backed government of President Abd Rabbu Mansour Hadi, who is in exile. That was it for today's newspapers. For more updates, please visit levant.tv. Thanks for watching and bye for now.